Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on August 22nd, 2013. And, all in all, I felt the show was a decent show. You didn't really get anything special out of it. I did like the promo at the beginning where Bobby Roode, Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian were trying to get Austin Aries to join their whole let's take control over the Bound for Glory series. And then later on in the show, them getting the answer. And I liked how they had Austin Aries put the screws over to the three of them and costing Daniels the match. Obviously, the way they have it set up right now, Christopher Daniels has a few more points in the terms of the other guy, so you can actually have him, lose the match and not necessarily hurt him in this whole area where they're trying to take over the Bound for Glory series deal. So it was a nice little way of doing it. Just a few things with how the Bound for Glory series is going at this point. In that terms, it was just like with some of the people that they decided to put in there, it looked like they wanted to push Jay Bradley. I mean, they had him as this gut check guy going into the Bound for Glory series, but pretty much he's been nothing more than a punching bag for some of the other guys at this point in time. Why do you put him in there instead of putting someone else in there that could potentially be lower level or something like that, instead of potentially hurting this gut check guy and try to. They could have used the Bound for Glory series to actually push him, but yet they're kind of more or less hurting him in the long run at this point. It's kind of weird that they decided to put him in there and not really do anything with him at this point in time. The tag match with Bobby Roode and Kazarian versus James Storm and Gunner, it was okay. It wasn't anything great in any way, shape, or form. You had at least a decent match with Gail Kim and ODB. Again, nothing special there. You had a few areas where, talk about Chris Sabin losing the World Heavyweight title, how he's going to be back and everything. You'll probably get one more match somewhere down the road here with him and Bully Ray before Bound for Glory, or maybe even later, or he might get a title shot after the Bound for Glory thing is over with. Who knows where they'll go with that, or if they'll even go that route with giving him another match for the title anytime soon. Also, the adding a Brooke Tessmacher to Aces and Eights really does nothing for me in this sense. It kind of goes to show. I think it kind of goes where they were trying to go with it, where bringing in Brooke Hogan into Aces and Eights, but obviously she had been released from the company, so they went with Brooke Tessmacher instead. Obviously they could still play that off and then make it kind of like this big swerve in the end, but I don't know if that was the actual route they were looking to go for it, but this is what they end up getting. Maybe they will actually have her try to win the Knockouts title and bring it in the Aces and Eights before the Bound for Glory series or something in that sense. We'll see where they actually go with that, or if she's just going to pretty much be there to just, be there in that case. Also, that kind of brings me to what the main event of the show was, which was the Main Event Mafia versus the Aces and Eights. The person who loses the fall actually gets kicked out of TNA type match. All in all, the match itself was it was kind of sloppy, honestly. The main focal point of the match was the whole transformation of AJ Styles back into the Phenomenal One. He's not playing the lone gunsman anymore. He's kind of back to his phenomenal AJ Styles type gimmick again. And honestly, I felt that they didn't really do a good enough job of having that transformation actually happen. You've had a few instances over the last couple weeks where you bring in certain types of moves into the match, and it's like, oh, that looks like the old AJ, but honestly, you never really had a potential moment of an attitude change in any way, shape, or form. You didn't really have that much of a build-up into him becoming, transforming back into the Phenomenal One versus his lone gunsman gimmick. And it didn't really come off all that good in my mind. It just came out of nowhere. It's he just turns back into the Phenomenal One, the music plays again, and that's all that was. It really wasn't any kind of build up, any showing a potential attitude change going back into that. It just, happened. And then of course he joins the Main Event Mafia, and then causes and then gets the deciding pinfall over Devon. Devon's out of the company at this point. We'll see where they actually are going with that. I think they are just kind of getting Devon out of the picture at this point in time. They're not going to actually bring him back in. So I mean, the match itself and of course the transformation of the AJ Styles gimmick is a good way of starting to build him up. Obviously, I think they're going for him to be the one to win the Bound for Glory series, go on the face Bully Ray, probably ending the Aces and Eights gimmick at that point in time. That's where I feel they're going with it. We'll see if that's actually what they're going to do, but all in all, I felt this week's Impact was a decent show. The matches were okay, and in that sense, story build up, nothing too special. I think the best build up in any kind of storyline was Austin Aries putting the swerves over on Bobby Roode, Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian. Mainly because I didn't feel that the whole transformation of the AJ Styles gimmick was built properly, at least in my own personal mind. I think they could have worked that over for another week or two to potentially go into that, but they decided to pull the trigger on the gimmick transformation at this point in time, so that it is what it is on that one. So that's my review this week of TNA Impact Wrestling. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.